that we have this guy that is connecting through some endpoint through the network to the organization's application, and that this application is linked to data, right? So we have the user here, we have the endpoint, we have the network, we have the application, and then we have the data. Even though this is data. All right. So this is securing this system at the user level is purely through identity management, IAM, and all of that. Identity management. And then from here on, how does this person now access all of these resources? Is by access, identity and access management. So we talked about endpoint. In fact, I just call that server right away. So security around server, security around network, vulnerability testing, seeing what ports are open, IP addresses of system, and how we can remediate all of that based on the recommendation of the vulnerability scanning itself. And then we looked at how to set up our database. So we talked about last week, we talked about the database server and then the database itself using SQL as an example of database, SQL, MySQL. Today, we are going to look at how do we secure this application. So this is what we are looking at today. I mean, the first half of today. So at this level, you should at least have a general idea of how, especially, of course, this is what really makes you an IAM engineer. This is the core thing, right? But on top of that, to become more than IAM engineer, but to become a security engineer, you will need to know how to do this, an overview of this, an overview of this, and an overview of that. Overview because there are deeper levels that you may want to delve into and then become an expert, become a core subject matter expert in that area, right? So that's what makes you, instead of being called a cloud security or something more general, then you'll not be specifically called an application security guy or a data security guy or a network security guy and so on and so forth once you specialize in detail in any of these areas. All right, so that's like an overview summary of what we have done so far and what we are expected to take away from here. And then we're also starting today, also going to look at, you see that at this level, this guy has access management. You can manage access management of this one. This guy has access management and so on and so forth. But we said severally that we can actually look at all of this from a single point of view, and then we're able to manage all of them centrally. We have access to all of them, and then we're able to manage them centrally instead of managing this from a separate interface, this from a separate interface, this from a separate. How many would you want to manage? You could have 80, hundreds of them. So rather have a central place, which will connect to each of these monitoring systems, and then we're able to monitor everything from the central place. We're going to look at that. Generally, we call this kind of application thing, and then this is almost always integrated with another kind of application called SOAR. So together, we would look at this monitoring system. Today. In the case of Microsoft Azure, we are going to look at this system that is called Microsoft Sentinel. All right. By the time we complete that, then we are done with this diagram that we started with at the beginning. You know how, as security engineer, we're able to control the identity of our users and how we manage this access of this user to this respective network and system users. All right, so today, in the first 45 minutes or 1 hour, we are going to look at application, and then we'll come back and then we'll install this new tool Actually, we are not installing because we are using Microsoft Azure proprietary. Yeah, we could call it. So it's already there in Microsoft Azure. We are not hunting the internet looking for that application. So we'll just activate it in Microsoft Azure, and then we use it to look at all of this to see how it goes. All right, that's what we're doing today. All right, guys, let's go into Azure. So this is our Azure. I'm already logged in. So what we want to do now is application security, like I already explained, right? So in this application security, the approach will be the, let's go back to the drawing. To secure your application, you as the security engineer for your organization, to secure your organization's application, this is typically what it looks like. So we have the application, which is normally generated from code. So the developers who write code. These codes are written in programming languages such as, do you know any programming language? Otherwise called software development kits. That's another name for programming language. Do you know any programming language that developers can use to write applications, to write programs, to write codes? So there are things like Java, like Python, like PHP. Have you heard of this before?
Yes.
Okay. What other programming language? Dot, no dot
.NET.
Yeah?
.NET.
.NET, yes, and so on and so forth. You know why we're talking about this? Because at this level, because we are completing this training, this is the land you must mention these things at interview. Otherwise, you'll be working in isolation, and it will not show that you have worked in a team where you have actually secured properties belonging to enterprise. If you just mention things that are only specific to your tool without at least mentioning one of these. So that's why we're deliberately mentioning them so that you get used to at least one or two of them. All right. So you could say that your developers use Java as their software development kit to write the codes that run the application. So these developers will write codes, and then these codes will be converted to artifacts.